Hello everyone, how's everybody doing? I'm on my break, so I'm gonna do a quick video here regarding the KS20 and the fire. First of all, I was the rider, in case you're not aware. There were many people riding before me, but what you should know is that it was 3 weeks, I believe, since the crash, correct me if I'm wrong, that Sean had with a cyclist. In either case, he handed it over to someone else. Someone else rode it for 3 weeks. Nothing happened. So what I want to say first of all is I'm very happy that this happened, because not happy in the sense that, I want to make Kingsong look bad or anything. I'm happy that it happened because it exposed a failure in, or some type of weakness in the device. Now this was possibly, or this KS20 is possibly the most anticipated wheel of any other wheel, really, besides the Sherman. And even then, the Sherman wasn't really, as anticipated as the KS20. But the point is, it was a wheel that many people set aside money for, sold their other wheels for, and did a lot of things in order to have this wheel in their possession. Okay, so when someone like myself hear that Kingsong is working on a performance type wheel that's 124 volts, that has the smart BMS, that has the Hall sensorless technology, has a 3,300 watt motor, 2,220 watt hour battery, of course, which is, in my opinion, not enough. But my point is, Kingsong in general is not known for making performance wheels on the same level as Sherman or even Gotway. Now Sherman, or Librichem to be specific, is a company born out of Gotway. Okay, so let's not ignore that. These are Gotway engineers. So they have some type of experience with high voltage. We know that Kingsong does not have that experience. It doesn't mean that they're not able to perform or create wheels with high voltages, but on a safety, where safety is concerned, they do not have that experience where Librichem and Gotway pretty much does, even with all their shortcomings. Okay. Now here's the thing I don't understand. I crashed the wheel, or at least let's say the wheel crashed me. I tested the wheel to a typical standard I would put any Gotway through. I'm not a guy who rides Kingsongs for the most part. I have a 16X, but I bought it to train people. I don't ride it on a regular basis, and I would never push the 16X to its limit. I just would never do that, because that's never what it was promoted as. This Kingsong KS20 was promoted as such, that it would be a performance wheel, okay? Maybe it wasn't said by the company that it would be a wheel to compete or replace wheels such as, wheels from Gotway or whatever, where performance is concerned. But indeed, a lot of people who were ready to get this wheel in their possession did steer their minds in that direction because of how it was promoted. I mean, you have Sean, for example, comparing it with the Sherman. You have a bunch of other people comparing this wheel to performance wheels. And I think that there is a disconnect between two things. Number one, the videos we create to promote these machines, which is good, promotion is good, but I think responsible promotion is better, because Kingsong, again, is not known for this type of performance. Okay, it's just not known for it. Gotways, on the other hand, are known for that performance. I can thrash a Gotway wheel all day, okay, on full charge. And I will address this in a little bit. But the second point I'm making is there's another disconnect with new riders, or people who are brand new to this sport, and people who have been in the sport for a very long time. You see, with new riders or people who just entered into this arena of riding and enjoyment, the electric unicycle is indeed beautiful. But for people who are brand new to this, who probably don't have much experience with hard riding or aggressive riding, are going to make assumptions based on assumptions that were made in videos, on posts such as, forums, comments, just really based on marketing, bad PR that's been promoted, regarding fires in general. I feel a disservice was done when a lot of assumptions went out, and no one, well, I wouldn't say no one, but the majority of comments I saw did not center around asking the rider, which is myself or Sean, hey, what exactly happened prior to this? Instead, what I saw was people jumping to conclusions as to why it happened without even asking the source of the cause. It's really strange. And this begs the question, and I used to bring this up with the Gotway, or the people who would complain about Gotway fires. They would see the fires, but I rarely saw in the comments, and there are people that ask. There are, credit to them, there are people that did ask, but I rarely saw people asking, hold on, hold the brakes. Let's not jump to conclusions here. Let's ask the history of what happened to this wheel. Same with this one. What's the history? Sean gave us a brief history of what happened. And in his assessment, there was nothing out of the ordinary with that wheel. Same with my experience when I picked up the wheel from him and started riding it. Nothing was out of the ordinary. There were no strange noises, strange sounds, nothing. The motor winding is a normal thing with that particular Kingsong. In fact, the very first Kingsong I tested, which was the 18L, had the same type of sound to it. Well, it was not really the same. It was more of like a whistling sound, which we didn't really enjoy back in the days. And then they released the 18XL, which had less of that whining sound. It's just something unique to Kingsong. But either way, the point is, I don't see that approach. And then there should be that approach. What exactly happened before that happened? What led up to this pop? What led up to this explosion? Notice, if you rewatch my video, Sean's video was the first video to be released. Well, not really. There were some releases before he released his. But even in those videos, prior to my releasing of my video, you were a bit far away. The camera was a bit far away, so you weren't able to pretty much assess what really happened. All you saw was me falling and a cutout. You don't really know what happened. In many cases, we don't have access to logs, to close-up videos. We don't have access to the first-hand experience in order to make an assessment. But with this one, we do. And the approach is similar, that we don't delve to ask what happened prior to this event. And so if you look at my video, you will see that when I first start, I took off real slow. Next one, took off kind of hard, but not really. Why? And then when I got on the main road, I then attempted to accelerate by torquing it constantly. But what I found out was, during that time, is that the wheel was not able to keep up with the amount of torque I was requesting from it. So what did I do? I backed off a little with the braking just to test the motor in that way. Because if I had continued to push it forward like I do my Gotways until, it starts to dip, I could possibly experience a cutout because I felt the lack of power in the beginning, as a lot of people were mentioning. So instead of worrying about cutting out forward, what I intended to do and what I did do was go hard but gradually forward, and then pretty much cause it to brake in a way that I would test the capabilities or the power delivery of the motor itself. So what happened was, the first brake, when I broke, the wheel, the inside magnets, or however it's explained, they lost grip. So imagine you holding a circle like this with your hand, and you're spinning with the circle. At some point you lose grip, and then you regain the grip. That's exactly what I felt. I felt like something in there lost its ability to grip. And then I let off of it, and then it gripped again. Within a few seconds, I attempted to brake again, the same way. And then after, there was another slip, and then I heard a pop. So hard acceleration, slowing down, hard acceleration, brake, hard acceleration, brake hard to the limit of the motor until you feel a slip, let go, it regains its ability to grip. Try it one more time, it slipped, I heard a pop, and it lost its ability to balance. Now, even at that point, there was no seething, there was no smoke, there was nothing. Now, when it got to the ground on its side, then you saw in some of the clips that the wheel started to jitter. There was still no smoke at all, no seething. Then, after a while, it started to seethe. Okay, so something was up with that motor, because why was it doing that? Why was it trying? It looked like EUC Vibe said, it looked like it was trying to spin, and something prevented it from spinning. Keep in mind that pop happened, okay, prior, which led to the cutout. And then we started hearing the seething sound. That's when the brother on the side, he was like, hey, get away, because number one, it's jittering, and then second, it's seething. And then after the seething, when we walked away, you heard a boof. Okay, it popped, it just blew up. So there was this excessive amount, certain things happened before the fire. The fire didn't just happen out of nowhere. Something induced that fire. My assessment initially was that a capacitor blew and somehow the spark got to the battery. That's stupid. It's just my assessment, my first-hand assessment. But when I listened to a lot of comments, I started like sifting through comments that would make sense. And one of the comments that made more sense was the regen. Okay, the regen, that kind of made sense. Faulty components, okay, soldering issue, inferior components where the capacitor or not enough capacitors. And another one that was very interesting, that was from Archie. I will try to make another video highlighting his comments, but his was the closest of all. If you look at sections 3 and 4, or parts 3 and 4 of his response to this, it made a lot of sense. It was component failure or component issue, and another one was riding style. Because my riding style, I didn't realize this a long time ago until I started testing my how much load my battery could take over a short distance with hard riding. And when I went in a straight line, it was fine. It wasn't that bad. But when I went the same distance and I carved with hard riding and braking, etc., but I carved a lot, I realized carving actually eats up a lot of the battery. And I never really paid attention to that until I went to New York one day and I saw a lot of the guys carving, and I was carving with them, although not as well. And I noticed my battery was draining so fast. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So then I started doing tests and I realized, a straight line linear path is fine. But if you start leaning left and right and riding forward, braking, all of that stuff adds stress to the components on the board. Now, if the unit is not optimized for such stress, you're going to get component failure at some point. Whether you have the best components or not, it's just going to happen, especially in a full charge, as a lot of you mentioned. But here's the thing. That is expected. That should be expected behavior, that if you overstress the wheel, components or the board itself will indeed fail. What should not happen in any case is the entire wheel blowing up for whatever reason. Now, if Kingsong had indeed incorporate fuses into their units, this would never happen. Okay, they mentioned the smart BMS. These were supposed safeguards that are supposed to be in place that should indeed prevent such scenarios. Even Sean, when it crashed, he said this should never happen. He's seen many boards crash, many boards burn up. We saw Overheat Hill with Marty. I mean, the thing blew up, sparks everywhere, but it never caught on fire. So, what I think is, hold on for a second. What I think is this. The wheel is a great wheel. I'm gonna release a review, okay, of the demo wheel, my first initial impressions, and you'll see in my review, it's a fantastic wheel. A lot of things surprised me about that wheel, but when I took it to task, when I pretty much put it through the Gotway test, it just did not measure up. And what's more disappointing in terms of performance is that it's 124 volts and it's performing way less than 100-volt machine. So that's all I wanted to say for now, is that it is easy to jump to conclusions. It's easy to look at, a video and say, hey, this is what happened. You can't. You can make assessments. It's good to make assessments. But I honestly think it's the best thing that happened, because Kingsong is known for being a safe company, but they have to earn that every day. Every time they release a new product, they have to earn that. They cannot be like Gotway, how a lot of you get angry at Gotway. They cannot be like Gotway and just rest on their laurels. They can't just be like, oh, these people know we're safe, so we can issue them an amazing unit that looks great on the outside, but does not match the quality that we're known for on the inside with our lesser wheels. A lot of the reason you don't necessarily see a lot of Kingsongs burning up is because they're not high performance units. So they're not pushed to limits that were never intended. Whereas Gotway, it's intended. And so when failure occurs, it's disappointing, but it's not unexpected. You know what I mean? Because we're pushing this thing. So it's Kingsong's first delve into this field, into this space of performance, and I give them like, I don't know. Right now it's bad. I'm not gonna rate them. It's bad because it should have been able to handle what I gave to it. I strongly suggest people with the Kingsong as a demo wheel test it out. Go ahead, test it out. I mean, why not? What are you afraid of? It's not your wheel. You're testing it for the community, and views are important. I understand, and you don't want to de-promote a wheel and be like, oh, this is a bad wheel, whatever, and make people uncomfortable. But it's better to be uncomfortable and be safe than to find out that your expensive unit goes up in flames and now it's worth absolutely nothing and there's no recourse. Okay, so it's a good thing this happened. It's bad it happened at the same time. It's good for the community that people like me exist. And I thank New York, because New York riders are the ones who motivated me to ride so great. So I really give it out to the New Yorkers. It's unfortunate that they weren't able to kill it before me. But now I'm a real New Yorker, I'm a real New Yorker, even though I live in Boston. But guys, this is my spiel for now. See you later.